morning. Well, welcome back. Today I'm driving to work and I wanted to talk about why is it so difficult to just charge your home with your electric vehicle. And I've been thinking about this for a little while, and it just seems surprising to me. So obviously this is starting to happen a little more and more. I'm hoping it really blows up, but right now I'm aware of the Ford F-150 Lightning being able to do this, but from what I've seen and heard is it's an extra cost you have to cover to get all the equipment put in place to allow the charging to happen. And I understand there needs to be something to allow it to work properly, but my thought would be, why wouldn't companies be trying to do this more and find cheaper and easier ways to implement it? Because at the end of the day, it would make a huge difference. The more and more I think about it, I think if they can make it a simple setup, make it something people can use whenever they want, I think it would just help a lot. And when you think about it, instead of having to buy like a Tesla Powerwall or another battery backup solution, which those end up being $10,000 to $20,000 to install, and that's likely on top of the solar system you might be getting already, on top of the electric car you're getting already, and you're only going to end up getting, those are on average, I want to say around 10 to 15 kilowatt hours of battery backup, and they can only really output sometimes 7 kilowatts, peak 10 maybe if you're lucky, depending on the system. And a lot of times that won't run a whole home. You might just be able to do critical stuff, or majority of things, hopefully, but a lot of times it's just not enough, and you're paying all this money, you're not getting that much capacity, you're not getting that much output, when if you're getting the electric car, like this car is small. I have Bolt EUV, and it's only a 66 kilowatt hour battery pack for a car that's pretty small nowadays. A lot of them are more like 100 kilowatt hours and bigger, for some of the bigger vehicles, of course. But even with this size car, that's way bigger than what you could buy with a Powerwall or other battery backups. And it just doesn't make sense to me that you wouldn't be able to use this way larger battery pack that you've already paid a good amount for, I would imagine, in most cases for electric cars. Instead of having to get another cost for a battery, just use the battery. I mean, at least for emergency times, it'd be great. Power goes out and you can cover your house for as long as you need, really. I mean, it would last a ton longer than what a Powerwall could do by comparison, and you could, I would imagine, just make it so you get set thresholds, so it's like, well, leave me with at least 50% battery, so if I had to leave, or 20% in an emergency, like I want to run the house primarily, but give me at least 20%. If it gets to that, then stop. But make it so you can do it as needed. Maybe you charge your car to 100%, but you only need 80% the next day, so let it run the house for down to 80% and run the house overnight. Save that cost there as well. Why wouldn't that be more of an allowed thing? Why is it still so difficult, so rare? And I was looking up again, and I was so interested early on when looking for electric cars in the Sono Scion, or Scion, which I believe was just primarily being built out in Europe. Sadly, at the beginning of the year, they tried to get the funding, but they had to end up canceling the vehicle. And when I looked it up, they're still selling their modular solar solutions for vehicles and stuff like RVs, and I think that's great, but the car is just dead. And I mean, a fully covered solar car with a decent sized battery that can charge itself off grid, straight from the sun, getting a decent bit each week, you could essentially just run your house from your car, not even having to get solar, and run your house a decent bit from the car itself. If you're not driving it, especially, just let it do its thing and charge in the sun. I mean, that would have been amazing for so many people. And I don't get why people, sounds like they had difficulties with the ramp up that would have been needed for manufacturing, which is unfortunate, but there just wasn't the buzz around it that I was really expecting. It was really popular anytime anyone was talking about it, but it just didn't have as much support as I would have realized or expected. And it just would have been such a perfect solution in this situation. I'm thinking of like just being able to have that bi-directional charging. That car would have been perfect for it. And they were touting being able to charge other vehicles from that car and things like that, which would have been really cool in its own right. And they were looking to have that bi-directional charge implemented right away from that, and being able to share a charge from that car. Just missed opportunity. They said they would sell that vehicle, the plans for it basically, to another company that wanted to try and build it. So hopefully it gets picked up one day, or maybe they do well enough in the other portion of their business that they can keep it going, or pick it up again. But we'll see. And I could only imagine how this would affect people in certain areas that maybe on the coast that are affected by hurricanes often and lose power for maybe a week on end or longer. And if they had this option, they could drive easily without having to worry about, getting gas somewhere where they, in an area where it might not be possible. And especially with the Sono Scion, just having it sit in the sun in a nice, likely pretty nice area and charge itself, so you can rely on that battery to keep you going in a difficult situation with power outages and everything. I think it can make a huge difference, and we're not utilizing these moving battery packs that could help people a lot more, given just how large they are and how much they could actually do. They're being way underutilized. Just driving place to place, that's one aspect of what they really should be able to do. And like the Ford Lightning, like I said, has that option. It's expensive, it's rare to see people getting it, but a lot of those bigger trucks, because they have 200 kilowatt hour battery packs potentially, 150, they have a lot of outlets. They're work trucks they're focusing on, so they have a lot of outlets in the back, so you could plug things in, even a 240 volt outlet in a lot of them, and that you could actually plug in and utilize for small plug-ins for your house if needed, in kind of a makeshift way, which is great, but not enough of these electric cars are even trying to go that route. But imagine people who live off grid or camping or for longer periods of time, be super easy with a vehicle like that and just not even having to worry about plugging it in while you're out in nature. Being able to have power as needed would go a long way. But, you know, my thought as well with the Scion, this Sono Scion, would be those city drivers, people with apartments. If you don't have a home to, have easy charging daily, having an electric car can be a little more difficult, especially if you don't have a Tesla that has that supercharger network, which will be a lot easier now that other companies are going to the NACS charging, to the NACS Tesla charger, that they'll be able to use that network. That'll help a lot in the long run. But daily, if you don't want to have to run to a charger to charge up your car for the week and all that, if you had the Sono Scion in the city where you could park it and have it charge just from solar without having to worry about plugging it in to a home charger, it eliminates that difficulty for city drivers, for people who live in a city, who live in an apartment. And it would have made so much sense in those situations, because that's definitely a barrier for those types of drivers. And I think a big reason why not more people are getting EVs than I would hope. So, I was also thinking, if you look at it, more and more people are trying to do this, and I honestly think it's just a matter of time, if anything, that at the very least the bi-directional charging will become a more easy setup, more prevalent, just more of an option for electric car owners as things go forward. I would hope. I think at the very least what it's going to take is that one company who finds the easiest way to do it that can be replicated, that can be, easily implemented for other vehicles going forward. Once we break that barrier and it's a simple, small installation maybe, or just a plug, you just plug it in and it's good, or comes with an adapter of some sort. I could only imagine, it's just a matter of time. And I already see the potential, and I just wonder if manufacturers and just people buying the vehicles realize the true potential that they have while driving this vehicle, what it really could end up doing. Imagine, in the future with everyone having an electric vehicle, or a majority, with people already getting solar on their houses and helping the overall strain on the grid, that's already showing impact. If everyone could charge their house easily with their electric vehicle battery while driving and helping the environment in that right, it's just coming full circle. It's really bringing it all together and helping so many things. I think, if people knew that was an option, they might be a little more inclined to, jump into the EV world and give an EV a try. But, either way, I can't wait for the day when, this is the norm and everyone's able to do it. So, looking forward to it. And, thanks for listening. Have a great day. Like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. All right.